And we're back. Mike Cernovich. DangerPlane.com. Gorilla Mindset. Hold on. Gotta turn the music down. Been jamming out all day. Let's talk a little bit about stuff that matters. By the way, I'm drinking a little collagen. Good for the joints. Good for the hair, too. Collagen is good for the hair. I should have a collagen sponsor, actually. I know a guy who owns a protein powder company. I could probably get a lot of ad revenue that way. Need to work on that. But let's have a quick little chit-chat. Have a little quick chit-chat about branding, marketing, fascism, and other stuff. So today on the internet, as usual, I have people who have never built a worldwide brand. And they're men. I know they're all men. Here's the thing. It's kind of funny. I get this reputation as a misogynist. I have this reputation as like a woman hater. But really, it's the fucking... I can cuss. Cyrus not here, but I still shouldn't cuss. It's a bad habit. But it's really the guys, the young men who drive me nuts. Because they haven't done anything in life, but they want to argue. They want to argue branding with me all the time and tell me, Mike, you don't know what you're talking about. You're wrong. I don't know. Like, I can message Scott Adams or Milo if I want to talk about branding. I don't need 19-year-olds or even 25-year-olds who have never built any kind of recognizable movement or brand to really tell me what to do. But I'm just going to educate people a little bit on branding and why it's important. So let's talk about fascism. People, they're wound up. They're wound up because I'm now calling left-wings fascists. And they're going, Cernovich, fascism, they're not actually fascists, they're Bolsheviks. They're Bolsheviks. Who the frick are you people hanging out with? They're Bolsheviks, bro. What kind of nerds, non-getting-laid nerds are you going about? They're Bolsheviks, bro. Cernovich, how dare you call these people fascists? They're Bolsheviks, and technically fascism, according to Umberto Eco, is, and Wikipedia gives an 8-point checklist of what a fascist is. You're wrong here. Fascism is political violence. That's what fascism is. So what a lot of people don't understand is that human beings do not think in terms of definitions. There are pros and cons to that. But a human being doesn't hear the word fascism and go, fascism. Let me go to Wikipedia and look at the 8-point checklist of fascism. Okay, fascism is da-da-da-da-da. Well, and analyze it. They don't do it. They go, fascism, an image comes into their head. Whether there is Hitler or political violence. But people generally think fascism is political violence. So there's a reason I started calling the left wing fascists. Because they're the ones engaging in political violence. Now people are going, Mike, you need to call them communists, you need to call them anarchists, you need to call... People don't... See, here's this guy, right? There was a good example of a guy. You're correlating things wrong. Your correlations of definitions are incorrect. Right? You dork. You're a dork. You can't talk to normal people. This isn't how people talk or how people think. I live in the world of how people actually think. I don't fight over semantics. But that's the kind of stuff I deal with all day. When people think of fascism, they think of political violence. They think of rioting, looting. They think of women being hit. They think political violence, silencing dissent. That is what they think. They think of criminals. When people think of fascism, that's what comes into their head. So if you already have a concept, a meme that exists, and then you have the left wing doing these things, no, people don't think of that. So people go, they're really communists. When people think of communists, do they think of political violence? No, they don't. They don't. That's how I can tell people don't live in the world of persuasion. They don't live in the 3D, 4D world that I live in. When people think communists, they think, oh, you're a commie. They think of dorks like Rich Lowry or National Review cucks or Hugh Hewitt going around calling people a commie. There's no visceral response to commie. There's no there. They're like, oh, you're a communist. Nobody thinks of that. I know that commies used violence. But guess what? That isn't part of our global zeitgeist, of our American zeitgeist. That's again where people want to argue terminology. Well, technically, communists killed more people than Hitler. You're right. You're right. And how far has the right got advancing that argument? Go ahead and tell me. Tell me about your great persuasion successes by explaining to people that Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao, Che, Castro killed 10 times more people than Hitler did. Go ahead and run that argument on some people and tell me how many minds you change. In the real, because I live in the real world. I don't live in the world where I get in a little echo chamber and we go, well, you know, technically Pol Pot was worse than Hitler. And Mao and stuff. It doesn't work, right? So why go use arguments that don't work? We already have imagery. The imagery is fascism in the American mind. This is where people don't understand things in persuasion. You have to meet your audience where they're at. If you want to take the audience to where you want to go, you have to meet your audience where they're at. The technical term for this is pacing and leading. Okay, that's why so many people watch Scott Adams and watch me, even because Scott Adams and I were like in parallel universes. We are identical in kind of how we do it, but the way we explain things and the terminology we use is different. Adams uses like identity, whereas I use mindset. But we're really talking about the kind of same thing, right? Pacing and leading. You meet the audience where they are. Where are people? In America, you answer me. In America, don't tell me whether it's technically true or false. I don't care about your technical definitions. In the American mind, what is worse and more scary, fascism or communism? What is scarier to Americans, fascism or communism? I don't want to hear your technical definition. I don't want to hear what you read on Wikipedia or in your history books or the body counts. What is actually more scary to the American mind, fascism or communism? Right? Go talk to some people out of the bubble. The clear answer is fascism. Fascism has more emotional impact on Americans than communism does. And that's just the truth. It's just the reality. And you can data test this kind of stuff. That's why I do a lot of A/B testing. I run my political ideology campaigns like a marketing campaign. In marketing, you got to meet people where they're at. And then you can take them in a different direction. So fascism in the American mind is scarier than communism. Okay. If fascism is scary, then here's my next question. If fascism is scarier to Americans than communism is, then why would we call our adversaries communists, right? I'll ask that question again. If fascism in America is scarier than communism, why would we call our adversaries communists? See, then you'll have an answer for that, because now I'm taking you deep to the Mount Olympus. I'm taking you to Mount Olympus of persuasion and how you actually change minds and create movements and take things to where you want to do. You meet people where they're at. So if fascism is scarier than communism, then you're going to brand the enemy fascist. And when you have people giving you the fascist image of hitting people over the head with poles, throwing bricks, beating up women, making threats, you just say these left-wing fascists are at it again. The fascists are at it again. The left-wing fascists are at it again. And then you show those images. I mean, here's a great example of this is what I would say. This is fascism. Milo burning Berkeley. And then you want to match imagery to what people have. Okay. So I'll show you an image. This is a branding. This is a branding technique. That's fascism, right? Burning buildings, rioting, looting, political violence, censorship. That is fascism. So you just say fascism, rather than going through Umberto Eco's freaking 8-point checklist and getting all into the weeds of these definitions, you just say that is fascism. Political violence is fascism. And people go, well, it's not technically true, Mike. Well, who are you? First of all, you're talking to a guy who uses memes and postmodern persuasion structures. Who are you to tell me what fascism means? Oh, some guy came up with the definition of fascism, and you, like a little mind slave, are repeating the definition somebody gave you. Well, why is that person's definition of fascism accurate? Right? Don't you understand if you're a mind slave if you use their definitions? So I'm saying that fascism means political violence. And if you think I'm wrong, why? Because somebody else told you that fascism meant these type of 8 things? I say fascism means political violence by either party, right wing or left wing. That's what I say it means. And if you say it doesn't mean that, by what? Because you read Wikipedia? So that tells me you're a slave to Wikipedia. You don't even think. I think for myself. So I create my own definitions. And then I get my definitions to spread. That's why I'm so effective when other people aren't. I'm putting a green screen up. Now, I'll give you some more examples. Now, one quick point. A lot of people go, and this is a good counter-argument. People go, Mike, trying to brand the left as fascist is going to be as ineffective as the Democrats are the real racists, right? So Republicans, so let's throw this out there. Democrats are the real racists. Republicans try to spread that. That's failed. We're going to put that, if I had a fancy production value, we'd poke that up here. I'll tell you why that's ineffective in a minute. But we took back fake news, true or false. The mainstream media, Washington Post, Carlos Slim's blog, Jeff Bezos' bloggers, they tried to call us fake news. Were we able to reappropriate that and apply that to them? True or false? Did the Washington Post actually come out with a column saying, we, meaning the media, have to quit using the term fake news because it's been used against us? Did we not take over that landscape? Right? Did we not take it over? Yeah. So, there's a reason that the Democrats are the real racist meme hasn't failed. It's a big Republican failing. Remember what I said earlier, don't look at definitions, don't look at terms, look at optics. So if you're a Republican and you're going, you know what, Democrats are actually the real racists, and you come up with all these policy arguments about how the welfare state is actually decimating the black community, blah, 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 blah. Okay, that is not effective unless you as Republicans are going into the inner cities, right? Are Republicans doing outreach to the black community? No. So where are the optics that people go, Republicans don't look like they give a crap about black people? Well, no kidding. Where are the optics? Now, Republicans would say, well, actually, traditional family values and cultural norms matter, and free markets matter, and we are doing more for the black community because we want to empower people. But that is, again, that is the think tank, basic conservative bitch mindset that the Wikipedia definitions matter. Why do you think Trump had Kanye? Why do you think Trump had Kanye meet him at the Trump house? Why? When I go, Kanye should... Remember when I said this and then it happened? You ever notice that a lot of things I say on Twitter tend to happen in the Trumpoverse? That's kind of interesting. Why? Because I actually know what I'm talking about. Remember when I said Kanye West should be the African-American outreach coordinator for Trump? People go, Mike, you're dumb, you're crazy, that's a stupid idea. And then next thing you know, a week later, Kanye is at Trump Tower meeting with Trump. People go, Kanye's an idiot. See, that's the thing. You're stupid. First of all, Kanye's not an idiot, and if you can't recognize Kanye's genius, you're way too stupid to be watching me. Because Kanye plays, well, Kanye doesn't play the game better than me, he just has bigger platforms. But if you think Kanye's an idiot, just get the hell out of here. Because you're too stupid to be watching this, and everything I say is just going to go whoosh, and you're going to waste our time with your stupid comments that are going to detract value. You're an idiot. The optics. Why does Trump now have, because optics matter, why does Trump now have Omarosa? He has an African-American advisory committee. They're actually meeting. They're coming to the White House. They're coming to Trump Tower. There are pictures. There are optics. Republicans, so then meanwhile, Republicans are saying Democrats are the real racists. Okay, well, where are you going in the inner city, Mr. Republicans? Well, our free markets are going to help them. That is why the right wasn't the right anymore because there was no savvy, no savvy at all. You want good optics? Sheriff Clark is good optics, right? Sheriff Clark is good optics. Optics matter. Having Sheriff Clark show up, right? Those are optics. Optics matter. Branding matters, and most people in the Republican Party, because they just weren't very cool. They're dorks. Like Ben Shapiro is bad optics for the Republicans. Ben Shapiro and Rich Lowry and Jonah Goldberg, that's why they put them on TV. Why do you think Ben Shapiro and Jonah Goldberg and Rich Lowry are on TV and I'm not? Right? Because you've seen me in a suit. You've seen how I look in a suit. I make the right look good. I make it look strong. I make it look relevant. I make it look aggressive. I make it look like we're having impact. But if you put Ben Shapiro on there and you tell people, oh, that's the Republicans, that's the GOP, then you are hurting the right-wing movement, because now that is the optics. The optics are, yeah, Jonah Goldberg, Ben Shapiro, Rich Lowry, those are the Republicans. Ew, that's gross. I don't want anything to do with that. Young people don't want anything to do with that, right? That's why they have them on there. That's why they're controlled opposition. Those are the optics. You put people like me on TV, you make me the face of the right, suddenly you got a broad-shouldered, square-chin, freaking, we got to quit cussing, guys. Suddenly you have an actual strong persona associated with the right. You can't have that. You can't have alpha males on TV representing the right, because optics matter, because then people are going to say, well, that's what I want to be involved in. I want to be on the alpha team. I want to be with the alpha males. I don't want to be with the beta males. So they put the beta males on TV, because now they've branded the Republican Party the party of beta males. And then meanwhile, Rich Lowry is saying, oh yeah, men aren't masculine enough. Rich Lowry is saying men aren't masculine enough. Rich Lowry's neck is like my wrist, Rich Lowry doesn't even lift. So Rich Lowry goes on TV and goes, you know what? The Republican Party wants to restore traditional masculinity. And his wrist, his neck is like my wrist here. And then people laugh because the optics don't match the message. The optics is called, talk about persuasion. It is called congruency. You have to have congruency between the image and the message. And if you look at what I do, everything that I do is congruent with my message, or I disrupt the media's message with incongruency. Let's talk about the Proud Boys. We're on a roll today, bros. We're on a roll. I love talking about this stuff. This is my real passion. Let's talk about the Proud Boys. This is going to seem like a non sequitur to people who live in the boring, basic bitch world. The Proud Boys are Gavin McInnes's, it's a fraternal order / it's become a de facto protection squad. Proud Boys. Right? Proud of your boy. All right. What should the Proud Boys be doing right now? This is going to seem like a non sequitur. What is one thing the Proud Boys should do right now, immediately? That would be, well, lifting is good, dressing well is good, but you'll never guess it. It's a riddle. It's a riddle. Canned food drive. The Proud Boys should have a canned food drive. Tell me why. Tell me why the Proud... You guys, it's a non sequitur. We're going deep today. I'm taking you into deep waters today. I got rid of the idiots, Been deleting the idiots, the morons. Optics. Why do the Hell's Angel have a toy for tot drive? The Hell's Angel is a professional criminal organization. People like the Hell's Angels, though. I mean, if you want to think about it, people like the Hell's Angels. They think they're good guys, right? Why? Because they have canned food drives. They do toys for tots. They'll go and they film all that. It's brilliant marketing what they do. So the Proud Boys are now kind of like Gavin's protection squad, which means the media is going to try to brand them as Nazis. Well, how do you brand somebody as a Nazi if they're doing canned food drives? So if the Proud Boys are saying, hey, we're doing a live canned food drive, we want everybody to bring in, canned foods to this location, put up a sign, right? Think about that. What have you done now? What have you done now? You've disrupted their narrative, so they're saying, oh, the Proud Boys are this Nazi group, and they're this terrible fascist group, and they're having canned food drives. You've now disrupted the narrative in a completely unexpected way. So rather than saying, you know what, we're not Nazis, we're the good guys, we're this, don't get into their frame. Don't even refute it. Right? Disrupt their frame, the Proud Boys canned food drive. Get everybody to bring in canned foods. It's wintertime, a Proud Boys blanket drive. We're the Proud Boys, we want to take America back and make it better. Well, why don't you bring some blankets to a homeless shelter? Right? Why don't you have a winter coat drive? Hey, do you got a used winter coat? The Proud Boys are handing out winter coats to people, canned food to people, blankets to people. That's what we're doing today. Right? You want to talk about going next level, that's the kind of stuff you do. You don't just play defense. You never let the enemy define you. You can see this in everything I do. Even my Twitter avatar. Right? The media, they try to make me out to be this monster. They've given up on me. Because what do? That is the messaging, the 5 million people who go to my Twitter every month and all the Twitter stuff. So I don't play defense, right? When the media goes, Mike, you're a bad guy, you're a monster. I don't say, I'm actually a nice guy. I just post pictures of me and my baby daughter. So they can't make it stick now. They want, if all I did was, and that's also why I dress modestly too, you'll never see me wearing like tight clothes or things that are like revealing of my, pretty massive, shoulders and stuff like that. You don't see me look that way because then they can brand me as a big meathead, dumb oaf, monster looking guy, right? The optics of that are bad. So I always dress very modestly. Yeah, I don't wear affliction shirts, obviously. I dress to understate my physical size and my presence. I actually understate my size and my presence because optics. Because then they can brand you as this big, mean, scary guy. So optics matter. Exactly. The strong, quiet type. And I'll give you one more quick thing real quick. Then we'll call it quits. I'm going to take my dog. For a trip. A lot of people told me I was crazy. Guerrilla mindset. We're going to go deep into optics. Guerrilla mindset. A lot of people go, Mike, it was a big mistake putting a gorilla on a book about mindset. But look at the optics. Okay? If you want to go deep and you want to be technical, which my haters try to do, a gorilla is not a high IQ primate. Nobody would think, oh, a gorilla is a high IQ primate, and why would anybody want to think like a gorilla? Nobody thinks, that's not how people think. My haters try to hate me like that. People think a gorilla is a strong animal, I want to have a strong mind. So the optics of gorilla mindset are big, strong gorilla, it's a mind. This is probably the best book cover maybe that's ever been done. Is that people want a stronger mind, and the optics of this are strong. Did you also know there's been extensive cognitive research into colors? You can take a course on the teaching, the great courses. I'll show you right now. Great courses, color, how colors affect you. You should take this course, guys. You guys, how colors affect you, what science reveals. This is, if you're not a great course person, then I encourage you to be. So you can take a course. I've taken this course. It's fantastic. How colors affect you. So there's a whole science of color psychology. There's a whole cognitive body of science about what colors make people feel, what colors associate it. This is a power book. This whole book signals to people, gorillas are a strong animal. I want to have a strong mind. Red is aggressive. Red makes you want to take action. Right? Red is known as an active color, an alert color. So people are like, red is alert. I want to grab it. A gorilla's a strong mind. That's the optics. So meanwhile, my haters try to say, oh, they try to make fun of gorilla mindset by saying, oh, a gorilla's actually not a smart animal. Those are the left-wing version of the people on the right who say, well, a fascist is technically not a liberal. A fascist is technically this. They're way down here. They're down here in the world of black and white. Yeah, they're playing checkers. They're not way up here. Because they're not thinking about optics. They don't understand the deep symbolism that actually goes into it. So we got that on both sides. So that's branding, that's marketing, that's persuasion, that's influence. You notice too that I've started branding the left American ISIS, right? This will be my final example. American ISIS. People go, Mike, ISIS is an Islamic terrorist organization. Why would you call the Berkeley rioters ISIS? They're not Muslims. Right? If you say this is an American ISIS, all you think about at the higher level is you think it's a terrorist. If you call somebody American ISIS, you say, well, terrorist, a terrorist. That's what immediately comes to your mind is terrorism and the image. So now I call the Berkeley rioters, I call them American ISIS, and I've said that they are a domestic terrorist organization. They don't like it. Yeah, so you call them, or you could call it the ISIS left. You got to experiment. It's called A/B testing. Data testing. And data testing means you have two messages. You have A and you have B. You run both messages, and then you find out which one wins. And then from there, you run another A/B test, and then you find out, and you're always constantly messaging. So I'm always fine-tuning. My audience, right? I'm always fine-tuning the message. You got to say, that's one message, that's another message. Go here, go there. And you keep split testing things, right? So that's why people go, Mike, you call yourself the new right. But this is the kind of stuff I deal with the lower level people. They go, Mike, you call yourself the new right, but the new right already exists in Europe, and here's how the new right's defined, blah, blah, blah. Nobody in freaking America knows anything about that. There is no brand for the new right. There is literally no brand. The alt-right, they are now branded as neo-Nazis. And again, they're technically not. But it doesn't matter. You throw up the Hitler salute, and then that's your brand. End of story. That's your message. That's your brand. So me, I did data testing. The new right. The new right sounds fresh. It sounds relevant. It sounds strong. It sounds a little bit edgy. It isn't mainstream conservatism. It's the new right, and it is an undefined brand. So I have the new right. The new right here. And this is how we define it. Borders, nationalism, free speech. We define it how populism based on Teddy Roosevelt. I say we're Teddy Roosevelt, not Ronald Reagan. I get to define it. So people spaz out every day, oh, the new right. I can't believe you're calling it. And I would never call myself the neo-right. Why would you never call yourself the neo-right? Pop quiz. There's a right or wrong answer to this. Why would you never call yourself the neo-right? Anything neo is going to sound like neo-Nazi. True or false, it doesn't matter. Well, technically neo is just a way to show that you're new and it's a new... Right? Don't come at me with that. Neo is immediately going to be associated with Nazism, so you don't call yourself neo, you call yourself the new right. The new right. And then I can define it however I want to define it. So it doesn't matter what other people are saying. So now we have a new movement, because everybody knows, and again, you got to meet people where they are to lead them, to take them to where you want to take them. Here's where people are. People know that mainstream conservatism has failed. They know that National Review, Glenn Beck, the Rich Lowrys, the Ben Shapiro's, the Hugh Hewitts, they know that those guys are like on their way out. Like, you get it. Just something clicks where you go, yeah, those people, they're on their way out, this mainstream conservatism. People don't even call themselves conservatives that much anymore. Have you noticed that? People used to call themselves conservative all the time, and now people started calling themselves, well, I guess I'm more right-wing or more this. They even quit using conservatism because as a brand, conservatism is weak, it's stale, it's old. Everybody kind of gets it. Like, okay, conservatism is on the way out, the National Review is on the way out, Glenn Beck is on the way out. There's this new kind of thing forming, but we don't really know what to call it or what it really is or what's going on. Well, we're the new right. We're right-wing, and we're new, we're fresh, we're novel, there's something else going on. And then I can define it however I want to define it. The new right is mine. I am the owner of the new right brand. That is why I keep morons far away from my brand, because I actually understand optics. People got mad at me, Mike, you banned people from your party, and blah, 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 because I understand that a couple of morons can destroy my brand. So the new right is mine. In America, the new right is mine. I own it. Everybody else can have their own thing. That's fine. But because of that, you have to realize that you're guarding your brand. You're guarding your ideology. You got to keep the morons out of there. And that's what I do. That's why I don't have any problem with, purging people. It's like you're trying to ruin my brand. I don't watch Bill Maher. I can't stand Bill Maher, actually. So, no, I didn't watch Tommy Lauren on Bill Maher. Yeah, if you're a movement and you're a brand, you're defined by your worst members. It isn't fair. It isn't fair that 99% of people think one thing, and then one person thinks one thing, right? Doesn't matter. That's why I banned over 200 media outlets from the deplorable. Again, branding and optics. I told CNN, I banned over 200 media outlets. They all wanted press passes. We said, nope, you can't come to the deplorable. Why? Because I wasn't going to let them define us. I wasn't going to let them define our brand. Because I knew that they would all look for one drunk guy. If you put 1,000 people in a room, if you have 1,000 people in the room, one person drinking beer is going to say something off color. And then the story will become the one person who drank too much. That is what the deplorable is about. So you just banned them all. Optics. So you stop saying brand, you ass. Exactly. See, people get triggered by it because they've never actually done marketing. They're like, well, I'm an ideologist. Ideologue. They've never actually had to run a business. Right? Me, I either sell or I get F-U-C-K-E-D'd. That's another thing people... You want to understand how to make a movement go far? If you don't like me and you want to do your own movement, watch Dana White. Watch Don King. Two of the best marketers ever in the history of the world. How many asses can you put in the seat? Can you put asses in seats? What are you going to do? You're going to hold an event. How many people can you get to show up? So whenever UFC fighters would say, Dana, you're not paying me enough, Dana. You're underpaying me. He would go, well, show me the delta. The delta is, here's how many people I can get to a UFC event. How many more people can you bring above what I can bring? It's the delta. In life, you always want to seek the delta. The difference, right? There is a baseline here. How much more can you ratchet it up? You want to increase that delta always. So people like Milo, people like me, we put asses in seats. If I go somewhere, more people are going to go there than wouldn't have otherwise. That's branding, that's marketing, that's optics. If you hold a big event and your event is the biggest event of the week, like the Deplorable was, people go, Mike, why are you planning a stupid party? I can't go on Tucker, I'm banned from Fox News. People go, Mike, why are you planning a dumb party, a prom? What is wrong with you? Right? Because they're in the black and white 2D world. And the 3D, 4D world, I threw the biggest party in inauguration week. I had the most protests. And I turned down 200 media outlets. Right? What are the optics of that? People can say, oh, you're a Twitter troll, you're nothing, you're nobody, you're this, you're that, you're whatever. The optics are the biggest party, and when I showed up, the crowd went wild. They went more wild for Sheriff Clark. So I'm not too full of myself. Sheriff Clark, but he showed up to my event, right? So Sheriff Clark, hey man, good. God bless him. He's a great man. So the most applause at the floor ball was Sheriff Clark. But he came to my event, right? What are the optics of that? What are the optics of Mike Cernovich, my friend Jeff? We have an event. It's the hottest inauguration party. Sheriff Clark shows up and gets the most applause. That doesn't shade me. That brings me up to a higher level, right? Because Sheriff Clark comes to my events. Those are the optics of that now. The media was freaking out. Peter Thiel showed up. Peter Thiel and Sheriff Clark showed up to my party. Why? Because they know that I'm not going to let morons in throwing Nazi salutes. The optics. So you have to decide now. Well, not you. I mean, meaning me. This is the conversation I had with Jeff and I've had with others. If we have an event, do we want Sheriff Clark, Peter Thiel, maybe Ann Coulter? Do we want those kind of people at the party? Or do we want people who want to throw up Nazi salutes to show people how cool they are at the party? Show everybody how edgy you are. That's the choice. That's the choice, because you can't have them both. You can't have Queen Anne at your event. You can't have Queen Anne at your event if you have morons over there trying to dance like monkeys so that maybe they can get their picture in the media because they're so desperate for attention. That's how insecure little babies they are. Little tiny little babies. You got to pick, because that's the optics. So that's why if you're in a movement and you don't like mine, if you don't like the new right and you think that I'm a cuck, great. Go start your own movement. But if you're going to start your own movement based on whatever your ideas are, if you're not thinking about optics, if you're not thinking about marketing, if you're not thinking about branding, your movement is going to die. It's going to go nowhere. Or you're going to have a bunch of unforced errors and you're going to have morons doing stupid things like throwing Nazi salutes. It'll be over. So you can't separate marketing and branding. So there you go. Read Guerrilla Mindset. 2 books. Read MAGA Mindset. MAGA Mindset, the optics of this have to be changed. A lot of people view the Phoenix, which I thought was cool, they view it as a cultish. So I made an A/B test. This book cover was a mistake. Why? I loved it. But people, a lot of Christians especially, have said the Phoenix, to them, it seems almost kind of like demonic or occultish. It's weird. So to me, that's where you have to look at symbolism and what it means to other people. To me, the Phoenix is a myth. The Phoenix is fires. It arises out of the ashes. America's arising out of the ashes. Trump is bringing America out of the ashes. So that is the symbolism I intended to convey. But a lot of people think, well, it's just a little occultish. It's a little weird. No biggie, right? You can't take this stuff personally. I don't take it personally, so it bothers some people. So what do? You change the cover. So this is a great example of a messaging failure. I think this is the coolest book cover, and, that's what I want to be known for, is my books. I want all to have cool book cover. So this is cool. This is the most effective book cover ever done in terms of persuasion. This, I think, is the coolest book cover, especially because it's a political book. Nobody would expect to read a political book with this book cover. That's the message I conveyed. But you know what? That's the A/B test. The A/B test says, hey, that was the message you intended to convey. That's what you thought was cool. A lot of other people are finding it a little bit weirdish. So hey, you changed the cover. That is an A/B test. So I'll change the book cover and then see how the book sells. That's all you do. It's real simple. All right, so I'm glad we got to go deep. I will not delete this Periscope, because this is actually probably the most important Periscope I've ever done. This is really the blueprint that you can use if you want to inspire. If you want to start a business, a podcast, a book, or you want to create what I'm creating, an ideological worldwide movement, you can apply the principles from this 35-minute, 45-minute Periscope in any area of your life. So this is by far the most important Periscope I've ever done. I won't delete it. And by the way, you can upload it to YouTube and monetize it. So if you want to, you can download this video and you can upload it to your own YouTube and you can turn on monetization, copyright free. Why? Because I don't even monetize my own videos. Why would I get mad if you monetize my videos when I don't even monetize them myself. That would just be a player-hater mindset. Thanks for tuning in. Mike Cernovich, DangerPlay.com, Guerrilla Mindset. If you like this book cover, you better buy this within the next week or two, because the book cover is going to change. So I think this is an amazing book cover. But if you don't like the book cover, or if you do like it and you think this is cool, you better buy a hardcover paperback, because the book cover is going to change.